I'm so glad you're back here with me today for Grow with Miss Nancy. Remember, last week we were talking about Jesus getting arrested. Can you imagine Jesus got arrested? And so we're going to talk about what happened after that today. But I need your help. I know that your leaders have given you some assignments. There are some people who have the religious leader sign. There are some people that have the pilot sign. There are some people that have the soldier sign. And there's somebody that's got Joseph of Arimathea and then Mary and the other women. So if you don't mind, what I would like is when we are talking about the part that person that happened in the story, will the person with that particular sign hold it up for everybody to see, okay? So we are talking about Jesus got arrested, and when he got arrested, the reason he was arrested was because the religious leaders, okay, hold up the sign. The religious leaders were so upset with Jesus. They hated him. He had proclaimed that he was God. How could a human being be God? He proclaimed he was the Messiah. How could somebody like him, just a plain ordinary person, a carpenter, be Messiah? And he had even forgiven people of their sins. Only God can do that. So how could Jesus possibly be who he claimed to be and who others claimed him to be? And they wanted to get rid of him. They wanted him to be put to death. But the religious leaders could not put Jesus to death. That was not allowed. But the Roman rulers could. So they took Jesus to Pilate. Pilate was in charge of Jerusalem. It was his job to keep the peace. And during this time of the Passover, there were thousands and thousands of people in Jerusalem. And oh my gosh, if all of them got upset and started having an uproar, Pilate would be in big trouble. Well, he didn't really think that what Jesus had done or said was important at all. He didn't think it was worth putting him to death. But he had to keep the peace. And the religious people were all upset. And they were saying, this man thinks that he is a king and he has a kingdom. We have no king but Caesar. And if Pilate went against that, he could get in big trouble. So he decided maybe he better go along with what they were saying. And so he did. He tried to get out of it by offering, at Passover, you can offer to let somebody go that's a prisoner. And he offered the difference between Barabbas and Jesus. But the crowd chose Barabbas to be freed, not Jesus. And so, Jesus was going to be crucified. That brings us to the soldiers. The soldiers had to do what they were told. Whether they believed it or not, didn't matter. If they did not follow orders, they would be put to death. So they did exactly what they were told. They whipped Jesus. They made fun of Jesus. They put a crown of thorns on his head. They put a robe on him to pretend like he was the king. Oh, yes. And they bowed down to him, pretending, laughing, and carrying on. And then they took his clothes. Now, they kind of traded the clothes off, but there was his robe that was without a seam. And so they said, we're not going to tear this up and split it among us. We'll throw dice and see who gets it. And just like in the scripture, they cast lots for his robe. And they are the ones that crucified him on the cross. Jesus was on that cross for 6 hours, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And 3 of those hours, it turned dark as night. And there was a tremendous earthquake. Scared everybody, not just the soldiers and the people there, but all of Jerusalem And the veil, the big, thick curtain in the temple that separated where everybody could be and the Holy of Holies, it split in two. Now that's not something you could tear easily, but it happened. And even the Roman centurion in charge of the folks, the people, the soldiers who crucified Jesus said, "Surely he is the Son of God." And Jesus died. And they wanted to make sure he was dead because it was getting late, and they wanted to be sure that he would be dead before the Passover celebration and being able to have the Sabbath. So the soldier took a spear and pierced Jesus' side, and blood and water came running out, and they knew he was dead. Well, because the Jewish people bury folks the same day they die, Joseph of Arimathea, who was really rich, he went to Pilate and he said, "We can't leave Jesus' body up on the cross. We need to go ahead and bury him. Can I have his body?" And Pilate, because he was a rich guy, said, "Sure." And so Joseph of Arimathea and others took Jesus' body down, wrapped it in cloths, and put it in a new, never been used tomb, and rolled the stone in front of it. Keep out wild animals or anything like that. But because the Jewish rulers, the Jewish religious rulers, were worried that the disciples might go and steal Jesus' body and then say he was risen, they asked Pilate to post soldiers there at the tomb. And Pilate said, "Okay, I will." On the third day, Mary and some other women went to the tomb because they were going to put the spices on Jesus' body that had not had happened before, before they actually put him in the tomb. But they were wondering, how are we going to roll that great big stone away? We can't do it. It's too heavy for us. I wonder if we could get somebody to do that for us. Maybe the soldiers will do it for us. But when the angels came, it scared the soldiers so bad they fell out like they were dead. And the tomb was rolled away. The stone was rolled away. And the women looked in there and there was no body in there. Oh my gosh, what happened? And there were two angels, and they said, "Who are you looking for? Don't look for Jesus. He's risen just like he said he would. And he wants you all to meet him in Galilee." Well, the women were so excited. Oh my goodness, he has risen. And they went running out, and before they could go out very far, they met someone, and it was Jesus. He really truly was risen, and they had seen him. And they were more than excited. They ran off to tell the other disciples. I would too, wouldn't you? I will be so excited to see Jesus for real. Oh my goodness sakes, might have a heart attack. I'm thinking that you might be thinking, well, that was then, this is now. Jesus is still alive. He is alive today. He is in heaven, and you will see him one day if you're a follower of Jesus. Isn't that a wonderful story? Isn't that the truth? We all believe it, and we all know that we get to see Jesus for real one day, just like the others. Well, I'm glad you were here with us today, and I'm looking forward to talking with you again next Sunday. Bye.